Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is Michelle Kinney. We are the co-founders of the Seneca Project, and welcome to our Seneca Project Live today. We thought it would be a good idea, given that today is the 105th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote. Well, most women, obviously, women of color had to wait a couple more decades until we had equality with the vote situation. But in theory, all women had the right to vote with the 19th Amendment. And that is under attack. And it's not being talked about enough because of all of the distractions of all of the other myriad of things that are going on with the Trump administration that are under attack, democracy itself, frankly. But given that we are the Seneca Project, and I'm wearing suffragist white today.
I noticed that when you were on TV.
I had my black hat. I said, no, I am going to wear my suffragist white today because of what we were going to talk about and to commemorate.
And I have my little Ida B. Wells doll over here today,
I
too.
have mine, too. She's over here. Let me grab her. Wait, hold on. I didn't get a chance to put her back. But thanks. Michelle got us these really cute suffragist dolls that we have. It's just Votes for Women. And inspired by our trip to Seneca Falls before we launched, and also we got to see the movie, the Broadway show Suffs, which was about this very fight in the latter part of the suffragist movement, and we were so moved by that show that both Michelle and I sobbed. I mean,
ugly cry,
sobbed, and I had
this was in like May. This is before Kamala.
It was before Kamala. It was before the debate. It was just in the moment recognizing the importance of 2024 and what we were up against, and watching that brilliant production of Suffs was it was life-changing. And I had the opportunity to see it again with the League of Women Voters on this day last year. I was invited. I got a chance to see it again because the production of Suffs did a very special thing at the end when they did the roll call for the 19th Amendment. They had Broadway stars and people of note in the arts from each state go on stage and like read off their vote, and it's in the symbolic, reading off of the vote for the 19th Amendment. And I was sitting right behind Audra McDonald. She was in the seats in the audience, and I was like, wait a minute, is that Audra McDonald? Audra McDonald is one of the greatest ever. She's the winningest Tony Award winner ever in Broadway history. I mean, she is a legend and amazing. And I was like, I think that's Audra. And sure as hell it was. And she got up on stage and she presented, I think, for New York. I forget which state she's from originally, but she was one of the people. It was just, it was an amazing experience. And so, there's a lot going on, but it was important for us to remind people of the significance of this and the fact that the 19th Amendment is actually under threat.
Yeah. This is something we talked about this. We talked about this last year and how this was mainstream. This was going mainstream. And I think it's, again, one of those examples of people not thinking outside the box. Because I always say this, you say this, we all say this, not all of us, not enough of us. A lack of imagination is a very, very dangerous thing. And once they came for Roe, I think we thought, the dog caught the car in 2024, and that women were going to be the deciding factor in the 2024 election. And I think in a lot of ways they were, in that not enough showed up. And a lot of the voters that we were going after did. But
especially down ballot.
Down ballot.
Everywhere that reproductive rights was under threat directly on the ballot, except for Florida, because that's Florida.
Well, right, exactly.
And they changed the threshold. They moved it to 60% of the vote instead of 50 plus 1, which is what's normal, because they, basically rigged it so it wouldn't pass. Because if it had been the normal 50 plus 1, it would have passed in Florida also.
Exactly. And so, every time it was on the ballot, it passed. And I think that should tell us something. But what it told them when Donald Trump won electorally was that, oh, we took their rights to their own bodies and they didn't show up to vote. So I guess it's not going to matter. We can just keep on keeping on and nobody's going to do anything about this.
Right. That's right.
And that's, that's
I
where
mean,
we're at.
and I think that that's bullshit. I think part of the problem here is that, and we saw this in polling actually, is that a lot of women didn't believe that Donald Trump would take away, would nationalize an abortion ban.
Right.
They were like, no, he said he's not going to do that, even though that's what was in Project 2025. They were very clear about what their agenda was here as far as reproductive health care for women.
Yep.
They wanted to get rid of it. And that was all just a way to further control women.
Yeah.
Because as we often have reminded folks, that women are seen as a threat to authoritarian states. So women being autonomous, having freedom, control over their lives, financially, healthcare, all of those things, that is a threat to an authoritarian state.
That's
so
right.
Part of the plan here is to also subjugate women again, because how dare we actually have agency over our lives?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there were not enough who believed that. We were sounding the alarm, but we are a teeny tiny organization compared to a lot of the others who have much bigger platforms and a lot more money that should have been emphasizing what could happen if Donald Trump and MAGA wins again. I don't think they did a good enough job. That was part of the reason why we started Seneca Project. Because there weren't enough organizations who had the budget, who had the platforms making this a priority. Because, the price of eggs, which I understand. Economics are important, but women losing rights also impacts the economy. Because then, right, women, they can't work, or they are, they're the financial decision makers in the home. And I mean, there's a lot that women still should have been part of those conversations, which is what we tried to do.
Yeah.
And we did what we could with the resources we had and as a new organization. And frankly, I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish and the quality of the work that we put out.
Me too.
And last year, Michelle came up with this great idea. And we were like, well, you know what? We are the Seneca Project. We need to honor the pioneers of Seneca Falls. And she was able to get Alex Borstein, who is one of our senior advisors for the Seneca Project, the Emmy Award-winning actress, incredibly talented voiceover actress. If you know her from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, then you should know her from Family Guy. She's the voice of Lois.
Yes.
And she's just unbelievable. And Michelle was like, we should get Alex to do the VO for this. And she agreed. And she's so awesome because she was like literally taking your kids to summer camp and recorded this VO on her cell phone in a closet.
It's
to
true.
get it to us. True story. So we're going to take you guys down memory lane for a second, because unfortunately what we warned about is going mainstream. And we were ahead of the curve last year. And here it is. Now, of course, you're going to see an image of Kamala because we made this last year. But this is We Won't Back Down, made a year ago.
Yeah.
And relevant right now, especially today on the anniversary of the 19th Amendment being ratified and under threat.
Yeah. Here we go.
In July 1848, courageous women came together in Seneca Falls, New York, to start a movement. They dared to fight against treatment as second-class citizens. After decades of struggle, women fought and won the right to vote, to work without discrimination, to control our bodies, to even open bank accounts without the permission of a man. Each one was a triumph against those who believed we didn't deserve them. Well, today, those hard-fought victories are under attack. Donald Trump and his allies are determined to send us back to a time when we had no say, no freedom, no choice.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do we want a future where our daughters have fewer rights than our grandmothers? Where their bodies are state property? Their voices silenced? Their opportunities erased? We say hell no. We won't go back. This November, we must take back what is ours, for ourselves, for our daughters, and for the pioneers of Seneca Falls. It's up to us.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
I mean,
It's funny. I remember because I recorded the scratch audio. So for anybody who doesn't know, scratch audio, just like the placeholder for until Alex, we were able to put Alex's voice in there. And I was in the hospital at the time with my father, who had just had surgery. My dad had cancer last year, and I was out in the hallway with my mom, and we were watching it, and we both welled up because you kind of can't believe like looking back and the arc of the story, you can't believe it. And it almost seems unbelievable that we lived in a country for so long that did not give equal voting opportunity to women, to Black people. And until everyone can participate in our democracy, it isn't a democracy. Not really. Not until everyone has a say.
right. Which is why we were a couple minutes late because I was just coming off of MSNBC talking about what Gavin Newsom is doing with redistricting in California. And I was saying, like, Donald Trump and MAGA, why are they so afraid of democracy working?
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to rig and cheat the elections because they know that they're facing a potential slaughter in the midterms because Donald Trump is incredibly unpopular, and so are his policies. So they're trying to rig the election because they're afraid of the American people actually voting the way they want to vote. So they're going for that. And I'm like, the fact that we're actually having these conversations and that Gavin Newsom even has to do this is like, but you have to, like, one of the questions was, well, can this be successful and blah, blah, and what about Arnold Schwarzenegger? And I said, listen, I feel Arnold Schwarzenegger and what he accomplished in 2010 in California was actually a good thing, trying to take the politics out of redistricting, because it's
I mean, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes,
you know what I mean. And I'd like to be paid in candy and like see rainbows every day on my way to work. Do you know what I mean? But like
we don't have the luxury of that now. Like we don't. I'm like, being an institutionalist now is not going to work because you're dealing with another side that has no respect for those institutions. So we have to fight fire with fire.
Yep.
And
I have no other choice.
We don't have a choice. And if you don't meet the moment with the same level of urgency and intensity as the other side, you're going to lose.
Yeah, because they're dedicated. And again, like I bring it back to Roe and Dobbs' decision in 2022, is that like they're patient. They play the long game. And Democrats, unfortunately, we have like a goldfish memory. Like as soon as we win an election, we feel like we've won the battle, but we haven't, or we've won the war rather. We can win battles and lose the war. And we cannot lose the war because once we've lost the war, we've lost everything.
That's
and you know, I look at what's happening in California. And, you know, I think a lot of us have had issues with Gavin Newsom over the years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, have been critical of him, but he's stepping up. He's doing what we've been asking, if not begging for anybody in leadership to do. And it feels pretty good.
That's
honestly. It's very galvanizing, galvanize women. It is. And it makes us feel like, okay, we have an arsenal here. We have people who are ready to stand up for. He has an incredible communications team.
Yes.
He has an incredible digital communications team that is led by a woman, by the way, Latina.
I'm so here for it. Did you see the stuff over the weekend? Oh my God.
That's so good.
From JD Vance's freaking eyeliner to like the maps aren't as pretty as JD Vance's eyeliner. I mean, to the JD Dance calling him that, to the all caps trolling. So
thank you for your attention to this.
Yes.
Well, you know what's so funny?
Oh my God.
Is that since then we like a lot of people have realized or have noticed that on Truth Social, Donald Trump has stopped doing the all caps. He's like stopped because he's like, well, he's making fun of me. And
we all know he hates being mocked.
He does not like being mocked. And it's like, this is not silly playground games. Like this stuff, if you can get under his skin, if you can needle him, he will be distracted. He won't have as much time to mess with other people if he's messing whoever it is that's, you know, in front of him.
Yep.
And, we know that pretty well from the years of work that, we had together before Seneca Project is, it can be,
It's effective.
yeah, it's effective. Bullying for good,
It
honestly.
is. It is. It's actually it's I would say more kind of like it's sticking up for the little guy. Finally,
Yeah.
somebody's stepping in and popping the bully.
Mhm.
You have to. You can't sit back passively. Like there's a role for that to a point. But when the bully keeps going after,
Mhm.
going after, you finally have to give him one good, like, shut up maybe a couple times. And that's what Gavin Newsom is doing. And that's what Democrats should be doing everywhere. That's what we do at the Seneca Project.
Yep.
We're not afraid. We are not afraid of these people. And as much as we keep trying to lead by example, again, we are a very small organization
Very small.
compared to others who actually have the resources and the staff and the budget to be much more effective. But we are leading by example, and we
Mhm.
are growing, and people are starting to catch on, and we are in the rooms with the people who are running
That's
some of
right.
these social media accounts and see some of these influencers, and they're like, oh, it can be done. Look at these chicks over here are doing that. Good for you. Like we've got bigger balls than a lot of the other organizations, and it's like, hey, you got to do what you got to do here because somebody's got to do it. So when we put out Cheater,
Mhm.
that we played it at Donald Trump's golf course, and on the Golf Channel and Fox and Friends, people were like, "Oh my God!" We're like, "Yeah, that's how you do it. You have to do this. You have to be smart and fight efficiently."
Yep.
Oh, guess what? JD Pritzker was on the Sunday shows the same weekend we were running,
That was crazy.
virtually verbatim saying the same thing about Donald Trump being a cheater
Mhm.
and how he's
Mhm.
trying to cheat the American people. He cheated on his wives, he cheated in business, and now he's trying to cheat the American people by rigging the elections. We were like, oh, maybe we're good at this, So like that's why, like, I'm like, we have to lead by example, and it has to be from grassroots up. We can't wait for the
Mhm.
top down. But when people at the top are starting to do it, like Newsom and Pritzker and even Kathy Hochul,
I know.
good. That's what we need. And you know what? One of the questions during the MSNBC interview today was, well, is it going to work? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. The difference here is that Gavin Newsom is using the democratic process to put it to the people. And if the people say no, well, at least he tried. You know,
Yep.
that's
I wanted to
that's
put
the
her photo up. Her name is Camille Zapata. I think I'm saying that right,
yep.
hopefully. This is the young woman who is leading the digital comms team. And I went on
For
her, I
Gavin
think it was
Newsom.
for Gavin Newsom.
Yep.
I went on her, I think like Instagram or something today. I think it was Instagram, and was looking at all her photos and videos, and it's like, I recognize her. Do you know what I mean? Like I see her from like myself and the way that I work, and I saw her like hunched over with her camera and like doing this, and it's like, you have to wear so many hats, and this is how women are. Like we are the
Yes.
multitaskers, we are the leaders, we are the how hard can it be, I'll do everything. And she is incredibly hardworking, incredibly creative, and in her strategy and going about this. I mean, just hats off, really, honestly. Incredible to see a young woman leading this team and making such an impact.
Of course, because when I saw that it was a woman, I was like, oh, yes, for all the reasons, right?
Mhm.
Because first of all, there's a lot on the line for everyone, but for us as women in particular, there's even more on the line here.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
we keep referencing Handmaid's Tale and Gilead, but like
Listen.
legit, what we just put out, re-released our Christian nationalist video because
Mhm.
again, undercovered story. It was a blip, but Pamela Brown on CNN did this package interviewing Doug Wilson, one of these Christian nationalist pastors who doesn't believe that women should have the right to vote equally. He
Mhm.
thinks no. And he's part of a large contingent of these Christian nationalist pastors who are now welcomed into the White House, welcomed into the government, mainstreamed, because Pete Hegseth is he goes to one of these churches.
Yep. It's his pastor.
His
Yeah.
pastor, And they're setting up shop in Washington now because they want to be closer to power. Well, why? What is with this? It's not just about religion and faith, okay? That's bullshit. This is about political power and influence and changing the culture, just like they did in Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale.
That's
This is how
right.
it started.
Yep.
And so Pete Hegseth retweeted
With
it-
comment.
with comment.
With comment.
He didn't say amen.
What's that?
He said amen, right?
Something like that. Yeah. It was something like a praise. And
Right.
it wasn't like, oh, he accidentally butt dialed a retweet.
No.
Like, no, like this was very intentional sending
Yes.
a message
Yes.
as the Secretary of Defense. And again, like, again, this is somebody who has been open and vocal talking about women and their place in combat, their women in place in the home, women and their place in the military. And during his confirmation process, he was grilled. He was grilled by Kirsten Gillibrand. But again, I look over at Joni Ernst, and she really could have been somebody who, put the brakes on this. But of course, they're all spineless and they have no courage whatsoever. And so they didn't. And so
a sexual assault survivor, a military veteran sexual assault survivor, Joni Ernst, a senator from Iowa, had the chance to stop the Pete Hegseth nomination and didn't. And she should lose based off of just that. Besides, and then of course she's the one that just, everybody. Oh, Duke, oh come on, you can do it, Michelle. Michelle's been working on a new impression. She does it.
She's just okay. I said this. I was like, does she sound like Susie Orman, or does she sound like Kristen Wiig doing Susie Orman on SNL? And she's like, well, everybody dies, for goodness sakes. Because, and that's just because she's so aw-shucksy Midwest about things.
She's the one that, when she first ran for Senate, talked about bragging about castrating hogs.
Oh, I remember.
Remember this?
I remember.
Fast forward to 2025, and the big, beautiful bullshit betrayal bill, as we call it, is going to kill people because
people are going to die.
Right? And somebody yelled out at a town hall, people are going to die at her town hall in Iowa. And that was her.
Right. Well, she had her mic in her hand. She's like, well, we're all going to die, for goodness sakes, for goodness sakes.
Oh my God, you sound just like
you
her.
patronizing biatch.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like this is, okay. This is where I say to these women, specifically the MAGA women, now that this 19th Amendment, like repealing the 19th Amendment, our right to vote is mainstream and they can ignore it all day long. Because these sorts of things, that eventually comes to catch up with you. And it will come to catch up with them when it means they can't hold office. They can't sit in, on the bench as judges. They can't vote. You can't make money. You can't have a bank account. Like we talked about in our ad, like women could not have their own bank accounts or open lines of credit without their husband's signature.
We had to fight to keep that line in, by the way, because when we were making this, our editors were like, well, who
are great. We love them.
We love them. They were great, but it was like part of the creative process. And Michelle was like, absolutely not. And I was like, correct. Because so many people forget that women could not open their own bank accounts in our lifetime. Okay. I was born in 1975. I'm going to be 50 in 3 weeks. And I'm weirded out by the whole thing. But anyway,
50 is the new 30, Tara.
That's what they say. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a palooza. It's
going to be great.
It's going to be great. Usually it's Tara palooza. This is going to be 50 palooza. So there will be a palooza involved because, it is 50. But I'm just saying, 1975. Hello. My mom was like, that's true. I was like, yeah, people need to be reminded of this. It wasn't all that long ago.
I remember. So I used to be part of like New York has big cities have a lot of social clubs with history and stuff.
Yeah.
And I became a member of the Players Club in New York City, which was founded by Edwin Booth, who, if you don't know, is the brother of John Wilkes Booth. They were both very famous actors. And he was very ashamed of his brother. And he started this thing called the Players Club on Gramercy Park with Mark Twain and all these other
Listen, you don't get to pick your family.
Please.
Right.
You don't need to tell me that.
Listen, we all got one in our family.
We all got one or five.
Yeah.
I was looking at the history of the club when I wanted to become a member. And I saw that women were not allowed to be members until 1989.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm no
Until, like,
longer a member there just because of their elitist draconian door policy. But
I
I
remember the
remember
story.
seeing that. Oh God, I was so like, I can't. Beautiful building, beautiful place, some nice people, but I question how they run things. But anyways, thank you, Jamie. But you know, I remember seeing that and being like, I'm sorry, what? 1989? You
That's
couldn't
like
be a member
the
here in
year
New
of Milli
York
Vanilli.
City? Right.
Like, what?
Like, I have memories of 1989. Like, I was,
Yes.
you know,
I mean,
wasn't
I'm a
that
little
when the
older than
wall
you.
came down?
Yes.
Right.
Well,
So,
91, 91. Oh no, the
well, the wall
89,
came
right.
down and then it was
Yeah,
the
89 and then
yeah.
91 was the
Mhm.
yeah.
But
I mean,
this is what I mean.
I, I was in ninth grade. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
you're the same age as my sister.
right. Yeah, that's
Born
right.
only like a week or two apart. But yeah, I mean, and I just wanna point out too that it can't just be women fighting for this stuff. We need male allies more than ever. Now, I know there are a lot of millennial dads in my generation who are spending more time. There's actual data now to back this up. Millennial dads are spending more time with their children than any other dads of any other generation prior,
Yep,
which is amazing.
that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. And that's why, again, millennial dads were the people that we were trying to target, you know, in the 2024 election, because that was the most movable voter that
Yep.
we could see, you know, when it came to reproductive rights for women and IVF,
Yep.
because men often, it's said that their wives are a reflection of them, but their daughters are an extension of them.
That's
And
right.
and so, you know, dads are now as proud of their daughters as they were of their sons, however many years ago, in the same way.
Yep.
And so I say all that. So on the ratification day, August 18th, 1920, the story of Harry Byrne is very important. So it's the
So
last
good.
state to vote. It was the last state to vote for this ratification.
Tennessee.
In Tennessee. And everybody was there. Everybody was in Nashville, and like they were trying to get people liquored up and the whole thing, right? And they thought that they were going to lose. And so they all showed up for the vote the next day. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh my God, we won, we won. I'm just going to read this. On the anniversary of the 19th Amendment's ratification, we look back at a young politician whose unexpected vote in the Tennessee state legislature gave all women the right to vote in the United States. Maybe not all women, but you know,
Well, in theory.
in theory. The story of Harry T. Byrne, the seemingly rogue 24-year-old legislator, has become a bit embellished over the years. And in fact, women had won the right to vote in some states before the 19th Amendment was passed by Congress. But in August 1920, the struggle between the suffrage movement and powerful anti-suffrage forces had come down to a series of votes in Tennessee. Now, that is his mother beside him. His mother, and he, again, 24 years old from a very rural part of the state. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody expected this. And his mother wrote him a letter. And she was like, oh, I hope you're having a great time, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way,
This is all depicted in subs, by the way.
It
It's
is.
like this scene is so. This was another part of the show that we started to bawl.
yeah. Well, I'm just gonna cry. Like, just think about it, because the mom, like the woman who plays the mom, like sits down and she's like, oh God, kind of.
She's like writing a letter at a table, and they're like,
it's so great.
it's so
But again, a great performances on PBS. I don't think
hopefully
it's
we
aired.
get to see it.
Yeah. But this is a story about a mother writing her son, being like, please do the right thing.
Mhm.
And he did. And for
And he
that
did.
reason, it happened.
That's right. If it were not for his mother saying to him, listen, I raised you and I sacrificed everything for you, why would you not want this for other women? And it's up to you, basically.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he freaking did it. That's what it came down to. A lot of people do not know that history. How
Mhm.
close we came to not having the 19th Amendment ratified.
One vote.
One vote
One vote in the state of Tennessee.
of all places, which has some of the most draconian laws now.
Right.
But
Which
it
is-
also speaks volumes to how every vote counts.
Mhm.
People feel a lot of times, why should I? What difference does it make? That right
Mhm.
there is the difference that it makes.
Mhm.
one vote. So it's so important. And it was a local Tennessee legislator,
Yeah.
local government. That's why it's so important. We talk a lot about federal politics, but it's so important. State and local government,
That's
man.
right.
It's the first line of defense. First line of defense is your state and local governments, because you look at what's happening in the states now, those are state and local legislators that are doing
Yep.
this. They're
Yep.
the ones responsible for redistricting, for example. They're
And
the
oversee
ones,
elections and like,
that's
you know,
right. They're the ones who
the
administer your
secretaries of
election.
state in each of these
Mhm.
states, like, I mean, have a huge role to play. Now, some of
Yep.
them are appointed, some of them are elected, but that's why if you
Every
see a
state's different. So
right,
no,
every state has a different rule. So if you see a secretary of state on your ballot, just know that that is the person who is going to make sure that your vote is counted.
Same thing with like sheriffs. If you live in a state where your sheriff is elected, pay attention to who the hell your sheriff is.
Yeah.
Because right now, there are places where those sheriffs are in league with the ICE Gestapo, kidnapping people off the streets, right? So, like, local elections matter. All politics
Yeah.
is local and all politics is emotional.
It
Okay.
is. It is.
And
It's a marathon. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, Alice Paul, who you know, there was
Jersey.
different waves of suffragists, starting with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony to Alice Paul towards the end. And
Ida B. Wells.
Obviously, there were many, many, many women. But Alice Paul being part of the last wave. And she picked herself right back up again. She was like, okay, we won a little bit, but now I'm not going to quit. 1923, which was the 75th anniversary of the Women's Rights Convention, the first one in Seneca Falls, of which we have our name, the Seneca Project. She showed up to a church in Seneca Falls, and she was the first person to pitch the Equal Rights Amendment. It was her idea. And she never
We
stopped.
went to that church, by the way.
We did.
There's pictures in front of it. There's a plaque there in Seneca Falls. It's
We
very
do.
cool.
And she never gave up her whole life.
No.
She never gave up. None of these women did.
No.
Carrie Chapman Catt, who is featured, her voice is in the beginning of the American Girl ad that we made.
The one we won a Webby for?
Yeah.
That ad? The one?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you do the wide shot for me? The wide
what?
The wide shot so you can get the background.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I have my Webby there.
Yeah, let me. Oh, nope, not that one. Not this one. Not that one. Where is it?
Oh my gosh. Wait, we almost had it.
I'm like, where is it?
That's okay. You'll find it. I just wanted to show off our Webby because I'm
Aw.
very proud of it.
I was like, you can't see it in my thing either. Want. Sorry.
We'll find it. I could I can grab it. I
Is
think.
it this
If
one?
If I take the whole set down with me, then don't blame me. Blame Michelle.
For anyone watching this, sorry.
Here it is.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Yes, you got it. This right here that we so proudly won.
Yep. Very proudly won.
Very proudly won for American Girl, which, as you said, features. You can pick it up from there. I interrupted your.
Oh no, Carrie Chapman again, another woman who spent her entire life, and you know, she lived to see it, thankfully. But you know, a lot of the women didn't.
That's right.
A lot of them didn't. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Like it took 72 years from beginning to end.
There was only a handful. There was like a couple of teenagers or like 9 or 10-year-olds who were at the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848 that lived to see the 19th Amendment become law in this country. And that's just like, it's incredible to think. So, I mean, Alice Paul and her story. And in one of our, if you're not signed up for our newsletter, please go to our website and sign up. Michelle always puts in different things to read or watch. And the last newsletter, she put in The Vote, which is a PBS documentary on that period of time that basically the show Suffs is based on. The latter part, the more, I don't want to call it modern day, because modern day would be kind of the women's rights in 60s and 70s. But like the latter part in the 1900s, early 20th century, the right to vote with Alice Paul and the fight between young and old and the tactics there. And, you know, Alice Paul, you want to talk about determined, her and her group, they were arrested because they were protesting in front of the White House.
Yeah.
And they got arrested. Finally, Woodrow Wilson had them arrested okay, because he was a bastard, and threw them into a women's prison, which is just down the street from where I live in Virginia. And they were force-fed. They were arrested and shackled and force-fed. They were tortured in prison, and they still did not give up.
Nope.
Still did not give up. So, I mean, ladies, I don't think it's too much to ask to go out there and march, stand up, go to school board meetings, go to your town hall meetings, and stand up and do something. Because we're not getting arrested and being force-fed for the cause. Not yet, anyway. I mean, they are
not yet. I love this from Mary P. Most of us spend our lives planting the seeds of trees we'll never sit underneath, but we know others will get to enjoy its shade one day.
That is
what a great,
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have this behind me too. It's the Declaration of Sentiments, which I picked up at the gift shop.
Yeah, I have it too. It's in my office, not in my studio.
Yeah. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal.
If you look at the Declaration of Sentiments, it wasn't really asking for much, and then and they were all passed unanimously except for the right to vote, because it
was too radical.
It was too radical. The idea of women voting in 1848 was too radical. But it eventually happened.
Exactly, and that's why to hear young men now talking about that we need our house, each household should have a household vote, and we need to depend on the men in our lives to make the decision for us. I think that it's worth showing.
Oh, yes.
The Christian nationalism video that we made. We made this
again during the election
11 months ago.
Oh,
we made this. It came out 11 months ago, and I cut this myself.
And just to be clear, that the Doug Wilson is in this. Pete Hegseth's pastor, who he retweeted an agreement with Doug Wilson's viewpoint on women and the roles in the household. He is part of these Christian nationalist wackos that want to see us all in Gilead.
That are made mainstream. This is now mainstream Republican messaging.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Just if you got kids in the room.
Yes, there's an explicit language warning here, but these are the people who are being mainstreamed by Donald Trump and his cohorts.
Yep. Here we go.
The reason why I have grown to despise democracy, everyone is allowed to vote, right? Everyone. And just for the record, I think the 19th Amendment should be repealed. I think that because, well, first and foremost, because I'm a Christian, and that is the Christian position. Oh my gosh, you're saying that? Yes, that is the Christian position. By repealing the 19th Amendment, just for the record, it's not just trying to take away a female vote, but it's trying to say, no, there's a family vote. Right. There's a household. And it's like, well, where do women get their voice? Where women get their voice is from their father, from their husband. If they're not married, it's from their father. If they're not married and their father is dead, it's from their brother, it's from their uncle, it's the men in their lives that love them.
I've been accused of being sexist and misogynist, and for whoever's accused me of that, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And fuck you, you feminist twats. When you're in your ego and your desire to gain power by still using your sexuality, you can't get ahead. You can only get ahead by either fucking more powerful men or suing more powerful men or shitting on more powerful men. You can't get more powerful independently. Imagine that. That's why they get desperate, feminists do, because they can't get ahead without either giving head or taking a head off in the court.
A lot of women want to be raped, and when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that, but there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
When women were granted the right to vote, the nation had already accepted the lie that a nation is nothing more than a collection of individuals. And so the matter was framed this way: men as individuals can vote, so why cannot individual women do the same? We were so muddled, we thought we were giving the franchise to women when we were in fact taking it away from families.
People are like, that's so archaic. You're a Neanderthal. You're so, primitive and chauvinistic. You won't let women vote. Well, our society doesn't let 5-year-olds vote. We don't let children vote, and it's not just because of competency, because that would be the immediate counter as well. But their brain isn't fully developed, and so are you saying that a woman is like a child? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Don't take our word for it.
Yep.
Out of their own mouths. And Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and a myriad of others, particularly a lot of those Project 2025 bastards.
Which, again, that was the first video we put out.
That's right. That was warning everyone about Project 2025 in July or June. It might even have been June.
It was early. It was one of
the
the first things that we launched May 18th. And I think it was like early June that we put this out.
No, it would have been after June 18th, but it doesn't matter. It was early on. It was early on. Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
We launched June 18th officially.
We did?
Yeah, June 18th.
Oh, that's right. You were absolutely right. Sorry.
Yeah. The May 18th, May was a different.
That was different.
That was a different.
That was a different time. Sorry. June.
June is when we went public, and then with a time for choosing, and then the next piece of content we put out, I believe, was the Project 2025 warning.
Yeah.
With them joking, eating chicken wings or whatever the hell, sitting around joking about how women shouldn't have the right to vote. And then obviously there is a lot more after that, but this is what they're saying, people. Nick Fuentes, Donald Trump had lunch with Nick Fuentes, who was in that video, okay? The self-proclaimed Nazi who said that women want to be raped. The president of the United States, before he got reelected, that would have been disqualifying in and of itself just 2 election cycles ago, okay? So, what are we doing? What are we doing, people? What the hell are we doing? So, we don't want women. We understand that, young boys and men are all the rage now, the whole manosphere, and why are they so, upset and what's wrong with them? And we haven't paid attention. And listen, there is an issue there, but we cannot forget about women, what's happening to us, and why it matters. We cannot.
No. And listen, after Dobbs, they told us just to close our legs.
Right.
That's what they told us to do. Just close your legs.
Right.
Pick better men, whatever it is, right? And so now we have the lowest, if not one of the lowest times of birth rate in the country. And now there is a loneliness epidemic.
Yeah.
So here's what. Maybe treat women as equals. Maybe just be nice. And this problem will start to fix itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real.
Yeah. It's multi-layered. There's
right.
a lot of things.
Women have the independence. I've said this many, 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 many times on our shows. We are the elder millennials and Gen Xers, women. We are the most educated, most financially independent group of women in the history of ever. And so if we have our autonomy, if we have independence economically, if we have financial freedom, if we're able to sit at board, on the board of whatever corporation, if we're in the Forbes, 500, whatever the lists are, if women's names are on there, then we don't need them.
That's right.
And so that's how they see it.
They're threatened.
They're threatened by it.
Controlled.
Right. So what do? You start to chip away. You start to chip away at those rights. You chip away at those opportunities. You chip away at that financial freedom. And that's why, that scene in Handmaid's Tale where June is at work and these ICE-looking thugs come in with their guns and their little outfits telling everybody they need to go home. And then she goes home and she's like, what the hell? And because she's trying to buy coffee with Moira and her card won't work. I don't understand. I was just paid. Why won't it work? They find out they've taken bank accounts away from women. But the only people who are allowed to access her money is next of male kin.
Yep.
Or male next of kin. And I just watched The Handmaid's Tale for the 3rd time through. I just finished it. It is a different experience watching it now.
I know.
It is. I remember in the beginning, it was fear. I remember feeling crippled by fear watching it. And now it's like, I don't feel crippled by fear watching it now because it's happening.
Yeah.
And the goal, we just to survive, I think, the goalposts keep moving. And because you have to live with what's happening. But at the same time, like, we have to stay enraged. We have to stay vigilant. We have to stay, you know, together, hand in hand, because again, it's the divide and conquer.
That absolutely. And one of the things, one of the hallmarks of our mission at Seneca Project is we take that fear, turn it into outrage, and you turn that into action. That is the way, because we can't be paralyzed by fear. We can't be paralyzed or exhausted into doing nothing. And then you end up just rolling over.
Yeah.
And that can't happen. That's why we're helping to build the resistance. And, with the resistance comes standing up.
Yep.
Times that comes, I know our
Sacrifice.
good friend Denver Riggleman said, it's time to not only be resistance, but confrontational. And, that's what's happening at town halls.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing in Washington, in the streets of Washington, D.C., where these thugs are trying to terrorize the city.
I had some friends go down to D.C. over the weekend and
had a march.
protest.
There was protests over the weekend. People are standing up. They're filming it, getting it out there. We've got to do what we can do and do it safely. But, we have to push back. And that's
have to. And I just want to show, because a few people have mentioned it in the chat. I just want to show this because Donald Trump did post this on Truth Social this morning. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of all mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting.
That's not true.
Of course not. All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels, again, projecting, always cheat at levels never seen before by signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections.
Oh my God.
And then of course, at the end, thank you for your attention to this matter. But, it's...
Okay,
they can't win. They can't win. And so they're going to do everything at their disposal to cheat. Again, they call us cheaters. They're the cheaters.
Yes, they're the cheaters. They're the ones trying to rig the election. They're the ones who've actually been brought up on election rigging and cheating charges in multiple elections over the years since Trump has been in office, from North Carolina to other places.
Yep.
Okay, this is what they're trying to do.
Democrats put this on Twitter, or I screenshot this. On August 15th, he said, Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. 3 days later, today, I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots.
Okay, anyone who doesn't think that Donald Trump is Putin's bitch is deluding themselves. Okay, the guy admires him. We saw him on Friday clapping in anticipation and was like giddy, couldn't even walk in a straight line. He invited him into our presidential limo, which I shuddered.
With Marines on their knees.
Marines on their knees, literally rolling out a red carpet. So I couldn't tell. Was he there to take a strong position of strong diplomacy to end the war? Was he there to fuck him? Because it felt like it was his prom date and he was trying to get his ass at the end. I don't understand. You know what I mean? That is not the posture of an American president against a sworn enemy war criminal. It was disgusting. And anyone who doesn't have an issue with Marines on or military servicemen on their knees rolling out the red carpet for a war criminal sworn enemy in the United States who is castrating Ukrainian soldiers and kidnapping children and bombing hospitals, there's something wrong with you. Okay? And the fact that Republicans are now going on television because they got their marching orders, I don't know whether it was from Moscow or Washington, to call it Biden's war, Joe Biden's war. We need to end Joe Biden. No, this is Vladimir Putin's war. Joe Biden had nothing to do with it. This is Vladimir Putin's war, okay? And we're not babysitting Europe, which is who was it?
What asshole said that?
Roger Marshall, I think it was Marshall, right? Said, we're tired of babysitting Europe. Really? I don't think our grandfathers and our fathers who fought in the greatest generation of the World War II felt like they were babysitting Europe.
No.
Okay? How dare they? How dare they infantilize what's happening in Europe and what we did for Europe? liberating them from Nazis. Get the fuck out of here. So this is what we're up against, people.
Yep.
Okay? This is what we're up against.
And to bring it back to because I had gotten an alert right before we went live, Newsmax has paid $67 million to settle defamation case linked to 2020 election coverage.
And
like,
Fox paid $768 million or
this is
$787 million to settle one, and they're still,
and this is to Dominion.
Right now,
and the Smartmatic.
And Smartmatic is still right now battling Fox News with a $2 billion lawsuit against them for the same thing. So, I mean, this is what's going on. That's why we wanted to jump on today and talk about the 19th Amendment, why it's under threat, why we should take it seriously, why we have to keep paying attention to these things, why it's important you pay attention to what's happening in your state and localities, because states and localities control elections and balloting, not Donald Trump. Okay, the founding fathers had enough foresight to make sure that elections were state run and decentralized for a reason. So someone like Donald Trump, God forbid one day, could not try to rig an election from the White House.
Well, I'm just thinking about like in Russia with the paper ballots, and like you see that with the stuffing, like it's just like, I can't, like, what a disaster.
It's just asinine.
And this is why
machine balloting is not as efficient, is less efficient than counting paper ballots. Get the hell out of here. Like, it's dystopian gaslighting. It's Orwellian propaganda bullshit. And we just can't, as the American people, buy into it. We just can't.
And this is why, Tara and I have talked about this, and we'll be talking about it more in the coming weeks. If you live in the state of Virginia, your first line of defense against Donald Trump and what is happening is Abigail Spanberger.
Yes.
You live in the state of New Jersey, your first line of defense between yourself and Donald Trump is Mikey Sherrill.
Yep.
Next year, okay, it's going to be Elise Stefanik and Kathy Hochul. Who do you want? New Yorkers, you want Elise Stefanik running your elections? I don't think so. So this is where this stuff really comes into play. And it's very, very important that we invest our time, our money, and our resources into winning these elections, because without that, foundation, this stuff doesn't matter as much.
That's
I mean,
right.
like there's less that we can do.
That's right. And as we always say, the most committed wins. So on that note, thank you guys for joining us for a midday Seneca Project Live. Almost 2,000 of you deciding to start your Monday with us. We appreciate that. Let's go out and spread the word about the importance of making sure that the right to vote for women remains intact, that we're not going to go back. We're not going to put up with that shit. Hell no, we're not going back. And properly honor that great achievement that 105 years ago today was earned and fought for women in this country. So we're going to play you out with our award-winning American Girl because it's appropriate.
Amen.
It's so hard being an American girl.
It is. All right, everybody.
But what? American girls never back
down.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday for Over It, Thursday for the stakes. And let's pray to God that Donald Trump doesn't give away the, Ukraine to Russia today.
Tara.
God, I know. Every day it's something else.
My TMJ can't handle any of this. I'm just clenched. Why you see me doing this during the show? Because it's like, oh, stress.
I know. And meanwhile, what's happening? The Epstein files are not on. They're not in the front pages, and that was all orchestrated. All this thrown together thing about Ukraine. What's happening in D.C. with the takeover, the mail-in ballot stuff. This is all to take.
And it's working.
It is working. I mean, Bill Barr apparently is testifying today up in Capitol Hill. So there was a faint mention of this on CNN today.
We'll see. Yeah.
The momentum behind the Epstein files has gone away because of all these other things, and we get it, but we have to keep mentioning, remember, all of this is to distract from that. And when Congress comes back into session, I suspect that we will get a boost back in it because
I hope so.
There's a bunch of members that aren't letting this go. And I hope so. So if you have an opportunity to go to town hall meetings in this August recess, I might go tonight because my congressman is having one. I think I should be able to make it. I want to go see what they're talking about. At least I have a Democratic congressman here. But like, if you have a chance to go, you guys should go and make your voices heard, because it's important to
Yep.
respond.
Amen.
On
Amen.
that note, we're going to play American Girl, and we'll see you Wednesday for Over It at noon.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody. Stay safe.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart sounds for the red, white, and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?